This is episode 269, the last episode of 2018 of the official GonnaGeek.com show. This week we talk about Samsung holograms, a newfound space object, Google predicting the future, and nVidia making fake humans. We also run down the highlights and lowlights of our 2018. Plus, if you wait around for it, you might even get a glimpse at some of the fun that we have post-show when we record live. This and more in this week's episode.
I'm Michelle from the Sterling Tribune, a proud member of the GonnaGeek Network. Just like the show you're listening to now, the opinions expressed are those of each individual host. Check out all the other podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com and get ready because geekiness begins in 3, 2, 1.
This is the official GonnaGeek.com show. Here we're a bunch of geeks talking about geeky things. Each week we run down the latest news and happenings in the world of geek. These are your hosts for the show, Steven.
But what if I'm in the mood for a T-Swift story?
Chris.
I've heard the X is going to give it to you.
And SP.
That's how we roll on Gonna Geek on Monday night. We get crazy!
Gonna Geek Productions presents the official GonnaGeek.com show.
Welcome to episode 269 of the official GonnaGeek.com show. Merry Christmas. I am Steven John Drew, and of course we have with us none other than Chris Farrell.
Oh.
We're pleased to say also that he doesn't have his beard this year, but it is our Santa, Stargate Pioneer.
Welcome to the end of 2018.
It's crazy. I can't believe we're already here at the end of 2018. For those of you who have missed that the last couple of weeks, this is the last episode of 2018. We will return, though, in a couple of weeks' time. The week of January 7th through 10th will be the first week we have a GonnaGeek show again. So, yes, we know this one's early. We get that. Totally understand. But that is what it is, just because of the fact that I just want to relax over my winter holidays. And it's crazy enough without having to continue to put on my makeup that I put on for SP and Chris each week.
That's with
Thank
makeup?
God for the makeup, because if it wasn't for the makeup, then I'd throw up every week.
I almost do.
All right, so I do want to go ahead and start us off with something since it's our Christmas episode. Let's go ahead and start off with a Christmas question. For those of you who may have missed the last episode or some of the previous things that we've talked about, we have a wonderful show on the network called Dad.io. Dad.io is a couple of dads, and they talk about all sorts of techie, geeky things and how it relates to them being dads. Well, in the most recent episode, their last of the year, they specifically had a question for yours truly, Steven John Drew. So I have an answer for the question, but so that we can all be on the same page, let's go ahead and listen to what the said question was. This was at the very tail end, like the last portion of their podcast.
And you can check out our website at dadiopodcast.com, and all of our other contact information is on there as well.
It's late.
It is.
And I think we're both ready to go to bed. So
we are. All right. Well, we've had a wonderful year. Come back and join us next year for this week on the Dad.io podcast. And for this year on the Dad.io podcast, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Andrew.
Have a wonderful year. Canada, but Steven, you have a happy Canadian Christmas
with the Canadian New Year, right?
With Canadian New Year. I don't, is that, do they still do New Year? Is it like a normal New Year? I don't want to insult the Canadians. I don't know. Do they have Santa Claus in Canada? Steven, message me on the Discord server. I need to know about Canadian Christmas. I want to know if it's the same. I've only, my whole cultural understanding of Canada comes from South Park, and I don't know how accurate that is. Okay, I've never seen the flappy head things or anything. I just need to understand. I just want to make sure that I'm being culturally appropriate to your people. So reach out to me and let me know. I want to know about Canadian Christmas. What are the traditions for Canadian Christmas? I feel like it's probably similar, right?
Yeah, I think that's it for this week.
Well, we might not be on the GonnaGeek Network.
All right. So first off, I got to say it's an honor to have been an hour or a minute and 30 seconds of your show dedicated to me and Canadian Christmas. So thank you very much for that. Dad.io, they're a lot of fun people, and they're constantly talking in the Discord server. So if you have not checked that out, GonnaGeek.com/Discord. It's a lot of fun. So I will answer the question. And of course, I'm going to do it here, not on the Discord, because you know what? I like to try to promote our stuff. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And I'll kick that off right now. Yes, we do have Santa, and he wears a toque. If you don't know what a toque is, go ahead and Google that. Instead
How
of
do I spell it?
How do you spell
TOQUE? If you want to also know, Santa does get traveled through the sky through magic and an animal, but it is not reindeer. No, it is moose. So he has many meese. We actually don't leave Santa out cookies up here in Canada. No, we leave him out poutine. So that's how we do here in Canada.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's any guest gets poutine.
Yeah.
We all know that stockings is often associated with the wonderful time of Christmas. We don't do that. We just hang up long johns. That's what we do up in Canada.
Dirty or clean?
Preferably dirty. That's really the standard. But if you only have clean, it is what it is. Instead of everybody giving each other gifts for Christmas, what we do instead is give apologies. That's what we do up here in Christmas.
What makes that any different than any other day?
Exactly.
Okay.
We actually do have Christmas carols up here, but they are a little bit different. For example, it's sort of a Christmas song, and let me just try. It goes, Grandma got run over by a reindeer, but it's okay because we have free healthcare. That's kind of how it goes.
But you didn't have reindeer. You just explained that it was moose. It wasn't reindeer.
Yeah. But it was the American Santa. It was weird cross stream. Like, it was bizarre. It was a really weird Hallmark movie.
I thought the wall prevented Santa from going in between Canada and the United States.
Fair enough. And regarding the New Year's, yes, we do celebrate New Year's, albeit it's pretty similar, but generally it's like the second or the third because it's legal up here now. And that's when we usually realize that it's New Year's.
Wait a minute. So I'm a bit confused. So is this a calendar, Julian calendar New Year? Is this like a Chinese New Year? I mean, what kind of New Year is it that's not on New Year's?
Well, like I said, it's legal up here now, and you can't define a calendar, man.
Yeah,
you can't define a calendar. You just can't do it. You go, I got to put everything in a box.
Or people toke it up so much that they lose whole days.
No, it's toque it up.
Exactly.
Toque
it up. So there you go. There's your answer. If you haven't checked out Dad.io, check them out. They're on the GonnaGeek network. And Dad.io, I hope that you enjoyed my answers and that you now know a little bit more about my culture.
Or as Willie calls it, the Daddy-O podcast.
You know what? The Daddy-O podcast, I like it. I like it.
I like it too.
I like it.
Yeah.
So
Daddy-O.
Let's go ahead and move on to the news. Here we go. All right, we'll start off with my news point today. And the reason we're going to start off with my news point is because it's odd. It's very, very odd. What it is that Samsung has allegedly put a patent in for a hologram device. That's right. Spotted by Let's Go Digital, a patent published at the end of November has described in detail how a 3D image could be projected from a Samsung smartphone device. The patent was filed at the start of the year and talks about a relay lens on the front of the display that is made up of several micro lenses. These, in combination with a spatial light modulator, known as an SLM, ensures that the hologram pattern will be made accurately, after which it's projected as a beam of light out of the display. Now, the best part about this is that Photoshoppers everywhere across the various blogs are all doing the same Photoshop. They're taking Princess Leia and slapping her on top of an S9 because this is rumored for the S10. I don't know if I believe it. I personally think that it's a little bit odd, but hey, you know what? I guess I'm not in the hip know of what's cool with things, so maybe I'm just out of this one.
Is it because it's legal up there now that you're out of it?
That's possible too. Very possible.
Okay.
Steven's busy toking it up.
I'm okay with Leah being Photoshopped because...
Did you say Leah?
Yep.
You said Leah. Okay, fair enough.
I did. And I'm okay with her being photoshopped because I think that's a good homage, whether that's, a company branding on it or not. I give extra credit to those photoshoppers for doing this. It's good. Now, whether or not this actually exists, we have seen patents for 13 lens cameras.
Yes,
so
that's true.
Or 16 lens cameras, excuse me. So, if it takes just a few more cameras in order to go ahead and do this, that I can see it happening.
Chris Farrell, will you project my hologram?
Of course I will, but I do think that Tony Stark is going to sue these guys because it sounds like Stark Tech out of Iron Man 3 and Iron Man 2 when he just throws holograms up. It's like whoosh, 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 and all that kind of stuff. I even did the voice sound effects for you guys there.
I'll just go ahead and I'll self-censor, but I know exactly what the first hologram that Chris is going to send me is going to be. It's going to be that one right there. That's what it's going to be.
No, it wasn't.
So, Chris, is your favorite hologram dummy or you?
It's dummy.
Dummy. Okay.
All right. Well, Chris Farrell, we look forward to you projecting this show through hologram on future Samsung device phones. You said you're going to take on the initiative to make that happen, right?
Yes, of course I'm going to be all about an initiative that's probably not going to pan out to be anything close to what we expect.
All right. Well, moving on to our next news point here. What is going on with this newfound object that you're speaking of? Is this from Newfoundland? Is that what it is?
It's it's because it's legal up there. It's far out.
Sorry.
He opened the door. I just walked right through.
All right, so tell me about this while you're not sitting there and, being jealous of our country.
How could I possibly be jealous with a country that has a mean temperature that's at least 25 degrees below where I am? Okay.
I think that our temperature is quite polite. Thank you very much.
I didn't even hear what you said. So I'm just going to go on with this news point that I heard. This is exciting news, guys. So a newfound, not Newfoundland, a newfound object is found, and it is the farthest solar system body ever spotted, and it's called Far Out. And here's the details. A research team, including members from the University of Hawaii, Northern Arizona University, and the Carnegie Institution for Science in Washington, D.C., have discovered an object that is the most distant body ever observed in the solar system. And it's the first object ever found orbiting at more than 100 times the distance between the Earth to the Sun. Now, the Discovery team nicknamed the object Far Out, and its provisional designation from the International Astronomical Union is 2018 VG18. So we're just going to call it Far Out because I'm not going to say 2018 VG18 for the rest of this news story.
Could we maybe pretend that we're like, sort of Southern, how they throw on the end of everything? We just call it V'ger.
V'ger? Yeah. Oh, 2018 V'ger 18? V'ger 18? No, I'm going to use Far Out.
Oh.
So we don't know how much about Far Out. We don't know that much about Far Out, aside from its approximate diameter, which is about 500 kilometers across, its color, which is pinkish, and its orbital period, which is over 1,000 years. Now, Far Out is 120 astronomical units, or AUs, from the sun. And as a reminder, 1 AU is the distance between the Earth and the Sun, which is about 93 million miles, or for you Canadians, 150 million kilometers. The object is more than 3.5 times the current distance between Pluto and the Sun, which is currently at 34 AU, and it outpaces the previous farthest known solar system object, which is the dwarf planet Eris, which is currently 96 AUs from the Sun. And as a reminder, if you haven't caught this in the news, NASA's Voyager 2 spacecraft recently entered interstellar space, and it was about 120 AUs, leaving the sun's quote-unquote sphere of influence, and that is called the heliopause, where the bodies experience solar wind. So it's beyond the solar wind of the sun. Now, the record Far Out now holds is for the most distant solar system body ever observed. That doesn't mean that there are no other objects that get farther away from the sun. In fact, we know that some do. The dwarf planet Sedna gets more than 900 AUs away on its highly elliptical orbit, which is a ellipse around the sun versus a circle. And there are probably trillions of comets in the Oort cloud, which lies between 5,000 AU and 100,000 AU from the sun. So the research team is actually scoping out these ultra-distant objects like far out to search for the gravitational influence of a theorized super Earth-sized Planet 9, which is also called Planet X or Planet 10, whatever you want to call it, that researchers have posited orbits the extreme reaches of the solar system. So guys, this is exciting. We've actually found something that is 100 AU from the Earth, and we are looking for this mysterious Planet 10.
Whoa. Far out, man.
Is that where Deputy Director Suncast's new office is?
No, as we previously discussed, it's on the moon because that's where we stashed all the money. So he had to go up to the moon to get it.
Story checks out.
I didn't know if he got in trouble or something. And you guys banished him a little further out for some cold duty.
He has put in a proposal to go after Voyager 2 because he's concerned it will be called V'ger from Star Trek.
It's a fair concern. Then we'd have to live that crappy movie.
I understand. I'm just trying to understand why you said it was crappy. It's like the best movie ever.
It's terrible.
Okay, so you know how we say without no encounter at Farpoint, we wouldn't have gotten the last episode.
I disagree with that logic, but that's fine.
All good things. Well, I mean, if you don't have the first episode, you're not going to get the last episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Yeah, but that's like saying that Wing is responsible for your segment that you do on this show because he was on this show first. The logic doesn't track.
No, it's not responsible. It's without Wing, I would have never have been on the GonnaGeek Show. Therefore, I wouldn't have been able to do he's not responsible. It was just a sequence of events.
No, because if Wing wasn't on the show, I would have had you on right from the beginning.
See? And you would have gotten these great segments earlier.
All right. So, moral of this story, the motion picture sucks. Moving on to the next.
No, wait. Time out. No, we're going to pull it back. I'm going to finish my point. Without Star Trek, the motion picture, you do not get Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan.
Doesn't matter. You could have had a better movie, but that's.
You mean where the studio course corrected hard because they realized the first movie was not good and took Gene Roddenberry's writing away from him?
Did they really course correct? They just went forward. They didn't course correct. It's still canon. They
course corrected in regards to tone of the movie and things like that.
Let's go ahead and follow his logic here, by the way. Hey, SP, without the Wrath of Khan, you wouldn't have Star Trek Discovery.
I don't agree with
all
that
he did was take
logic.
His coffee mug and go,
there is no direct correlation between the two. I don't know. No,
it's the way it is.
Doesn't Discovery happen before Star Trek 2?
Doesn't matter. It was made after. You follow the path. Because if the Wrath of Khan didn't happen and wasn't a success, the whole franchise would have died. So I'm sorry, but you're wrong.
My head hurts.
All right, let's just go on to the next news point here, which is about Google. Chris Farrell, you said that Google's predicting the future now, right? Like it's going to give out lotto numbers. Is that what I heard?
Not quite the same thing, but we are in the holiday season. This is the Christmas edition of the GonnaGeek Show. There's a lot of folks that are going to be traveling for Christmas, be it via airlines, rather. And they could be traveling right now. But here's something cool for you to keep in mind. Google is rolling out a new feature for the Google Assistant to give you a better idea of whether your flight might be delayed. The company already shares these predictions through Google Flights, but soon the assistant will be updated so you can say, hey, G-word, because I don't want to trigger it, is my flight on time? Or also something like, what's the status of the American Airlines flight from Philadelphia to Denver?
I'm going to try that. I don't believe you, by the way. Hey, GonnaGeek, it's not working.
Oh, I see what you did there. So how does Google do this? They use a combination of machine learning and historical flight status data to make the prediction, and they say it can be about 85% their confidence rate. You'll get a reason for the delay, like the incoming flight's late, or there's something on the runway, or they got redirected. So this is something interesting. Now, there are other services out there that send actual flight delay notifications. However, they're not doing predictions like Google is going to do. So, for example, Apple will send a push notification if you have a digital boarding pass in your wallet. Most airline carriers send them through their own apps or email, text message, or phone calls. The difference here, though, is Google's approach predicts these delays before the airlines even announce them. So this could potentially save you time and prevent you from having to download other apps to let you know if your plane is going to arrive on time. So if this works, it's really cool. It's another extension of the things Google has done with machine learning and data mining the hell out of things. And if they can predict correctly, that's really neat. Now, that being said, you might want to have multiple sources to check. If Google gives you a predicted notification, you might want to check via your email that your airline doesn't send you something a little bit later. But it can help ease some of your flight anxiety for, where the hell's my plane? I'm supposed to get out of here. I thought it was cool.
No, I agree. I think that it makes a lot of sense because a lot of these delays are because of connections, right? And the airlines typically don't announce them until it's a little bit closer. So like if the AI can do the math and sort of backtrack, I think it makes a ton of sense. With that said, I do, however, think that it's going to be almost, other than your knowledge, useless information because the airline won't do anything until it's been announced. So I think that it's great for you to have that. You can plan. You can be the one that's camping right near that kiosk, but they're not going to probably help you until they've announced it.
Probably not.
I'm still going to use FlightAware.
I would too. Like I said, I would have multiple ways because I don't know about you guys. When I was back in my traveling days for work and stuff like that, I didn't have great flight anxiety, but I had some of being like, okay, I've got to be at the airport at this time because the flight's supposed to leave here, here, and here. I would have liked having these notifications that, hey, your plane's going to be late. So I could be like, oh, well, I got a little bit extra time before and plan to do some other things. Again, for flight anxiety, multiple sources to confirm things is a good thing. But if Google can get ahead of it and give you a heads up, not necessarily a bad thing.
For those that don't know, by the way, Chris is 8'5". So flying for him these days is like putting a large loaf of bread in a little number 2 pencil thing. It's incredibly difficult. So
it's like sitting like this in a plane.
Yeah, he's starting to get flight anxiety from the seat space.
I do want to say that Google has done me well with flight notifications before. I've had a couple of times where they've notified me, and like I just had it a few months ago where they did a gate change. There was a gate change, and I was in the airport. I got the notification before I heard it within the airport. The other thing as well was last year, I actually had a flight that was canceled. I was scheduled for like a 3 or 4 o'clock flight, and they sent me the notification. I knew the weather was bad. I was refreshing the Air Canada website and the local airport website, constantly checking it, and there was no changes on there. And then I got the notification from Google before those pages updated. So then I was able to go and book alternate transportation. So Google's done me well. So I actually have good faith in them for this. And I think, like you said, multiple sources helps, but this would be a really good thing to keep your eye on if you are going to be traveling or you do travel a lot.
I don't see the need to be the first person to be notified because, as anybody knows, the beginning of about half of the good Hallmark Holiday Channel movies are when somebody misses a flight and has to stay somewhere. So I think, it's just a good path to be on to follow one of the plots of those movies.
All right, fair enough. You love your Hallmark movies.
What was I thinking about wanting to be prepared versus potentially living out a Hallmark movie?
Exactly.
I mean, it's everybody's dream, right?
Yeah.
Evidently.
As long as I end up kissing in the snow, preferably with Chris Farrell.
Well, I mean, all you had to do was ask.
All right. Well, moving on to our extra section here. First up, it looks like we have a little bit of news coming out of the world of Netflix. This is something that was kind of been rumored, but it's gone back and forth a little bit. The whole Daredevil cancellation, people have been questioning who exactly was behind it. Did Marvel give their sort of leverage? Did they lean on some stuff to get the cancellation? Was it fully Netflix? There's been official stories that have come out saying Netflix, but there have been rumors that maybe not so much, that maybe there was some Disney pressure put in it. Well, it's looking like more and more it is stacking up to be sort of Netflix, because we did have an interview with Amy Rootberg, I should say, which plays, what's her name over there? Foggy's girlfriend. What's her name? Oh, I don't remember her name.
I don't remember.
Oh, yeah, the blonde, the lawyer, that called him Foggy Bear all the time.
Yeah.
I want to say M something. It's not
Marcy.
Monica.
Marcy. Yes. She said, we had heard rumors we would start production as early as February 2019. It's a little unusual to be that far ahead in planning and cancel the show, which makes me think Netflix was laboring over whether or not to cancel it. My guess was that it was not an easy decision. So that's one of her quotes. And it just sort of stems the idea that, yeah, it was just Netflix doing it. I've said it before. I think there are some ulterior motives behind Netflix canceling. I think that there's some good reasons with Disney pulling all sorts of stuff. But in any case, if you were wondering what Marcy was saying, because Marcy, she's the queen on that show, that's what she said.
This is no different than the other news stories that have come out in the past at all. It might be good corroboration, but the official story has been out. Netflix was solely responsible for the renewal or cancellation of any of these. Disney/Marvel, either of those companies did not have anything to do with it directly. And we've all postulated stuff, and I've had a whole segment on the Bubble Podcast, episode 32, on this as well, if you want to hear how my theories are on it, and we'll talk about it in a future episode of Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. But yeah, it is all been Netflix. I think this is non-news, at least for me, because I follow this sort of stuff. But for somebody that doesn't, maybe they might still be in that conspiracy theory zone saying, oh, Disney had a say. No, Disney didn't have a say directly in it, at least.
And buying what the man's selling, hey? That's what you do. You buy what the man is selling.
It checks out. I mean, if you look at all of the things surrounding it, the Daredevil cancellation was a Netflix decision. And Chris, your actual explanation of it is chief. They want their own content that they are producing and that they can have all the revenue from their content.
It's a lie. Yep. It's all a lie, like the moon landing.
Wow.
and the Earth being round.
This from a Canadian. Wow. End of the year, he gets testy.
But, I only have a few more minutes here to just be a complete, you know what? I got to do it. Once a year, I gotta do it. Oh, wait, it's all the year. Moving on to the next extra news point we have here. If you want to head over to geeks.link/fake faces, that's geeks.link/fake faces. You're going to see some faces of people. Now, the fun thing about the faces of said people is they're fake, as the link says, fake faces. nVidia recently showcased a new AI algorithm that is making some very realistic fake faces. Now, this is, I think, really interesting because of the fact that the technology isn't using the traditional manner of sort of compositing of a bunch of different faces together to make a face. What they're doing is basically coming up with different concepts of sort of categories that faces have, basically 3 basic styles: coarse, middle, and fine styles, to sort of compose those together and thus make a fake face. Now, if you scroll through and you look at the video that's on that page, yeah, you can see there's definitely some signs that they are fake, but from a distance, they're pretty convincing. And I think what will be interesting will be to see what these sort of transfer in future years to video, because we've seen some amazing development within the last 5-10 years with CGI and human composites. And this is just another example on where we could be going, so that in the future, all of the Hollywood movies will be as good looking as the CGI on this show, because we have been doing fake faces on this show for many, many years.
It's true. This is great. So instead of blurring out a stuntman's face, you can actually put the face on of a fake AI, which looks like the same actor.
Well, the thing that I think is interesting is, like, they've done that sort of compositing with stunt people before. I remember being so amazed that they did that with Jurassic Park, because there's an infamous scene where the stunt person for the girl accidentally looks up, and it was the shot that they wanted, so they had to composite the actress's face on there. But it's been very time consuming. And like you said, now you see so much blurring happening because it's so easy for them to motion track and stuff. If this gets to the stage where it's as easy as blurring, wouldn't you rather see like a 90%, even an 80% realistic looking facsimile of the actor or actress versus the blur, which is so obvious? I would. I'd rather see the fake face.
Sure, why not?
Some of these eyes are off though. If you're watching the video, like the left eye, if you're looking at it, it's the right eye, but it's the left eye is often canted in, like it's looking to the side, it's skewed, but the right eye is straight ahead, and it looks weird.
It does, but it's better than a lot of what we've seen so far. And in that scenario that you set up, stunt people, I think that that's a really, really good use of something like this if it works out.
Yeah, because they don't need to see right. They just need to look like they're acting, or the action is fine. Who cares where their eyes are pointed?
Exactly. So I wanted to share that. And again, if you want, that's www.geeks.link/fake faces. Also in the extra lastly here, it looks like Android's Google Maps sharing menu is being changed, which is good. Because I think Chris actually mentioned this before, was that there was an old share sheet function within Google Maps, and it was slow and chunky. I remember you telling me something in there, and I want to say it was this, Chris.
This is something that Google's been promising to fix forever. The logic and how they code the sharing features has pretty much been the same since Android 4 is what I'd read at one point in time. Maybe it's Android 5. And it's super slow. Like when you hit the share button, everything just kind of churns to a halt as it goes and populates that screen, pauses, finishes populating it, and then you select where to share it to. So Google's been promising for a bit to get around to doing it, and I'm happy to hear that they're still targeting doing that. So maybe in Android 10, we'll have a version that doesn't suck of the share button.
Yeah, well, this is saying that it's actually maybe starting to roll out to some devices. So we'll see.
God willing.
We'll see what happens. But I wanted to mention it because I remember somebody, and I was pretty sure it was you, had mentioned it before. And yeah, it was terrible. I don't know how they had it for so many years so broken, but they do say it will be much faster. So let us know if you've seen that on yours. As we know with Google features, they do roll out slowly. And just because you have it now and someone else doesn't mean that you won't have it in 2 weeks. We've seen this happen not only by region, but just by user. They are notorious for rolling things out. Chris Farrell, do you actually have your Dark Phone app yet? I know I got that before you.
I do have the Dark Phone app.
Awesome. Awesome. So there you go. That's going to wrap it up for the news. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about some highlights and lowlights of 2018. As the year comes to a close, we wanted to pick out some highlights and lowlights from the past year and also some honorable mentions. And most of these we'll have talked about on the show, but we want to sort of reflect a little bit on how we felt at the time and how we feel now. So we've developed a few different categories, and we're just going to go ahead and run through our personal lists. I'm going to go ahead and start us off here and say that one of my highlights that I have was the fact that Google Pixel continued to make software improvements with their Pixel line, and ones that continue to actually matter on a real world case. This is one of the things that I was worried about when I first got my Google Pixel 1, because they had just closed down Nexus and this was sort of a brand new thing. Were they going to continue the evolution of all of these devices? And we saw that with the software roll through 2018, that they did make software improvements. And one of the big highlights was the camera night sight, which recently came out. It makes a massive difference when you are taking dark pictures. And it's a good example of them leveraging that Pixel camera app that they're so well known for the processing. As well, they are rolling out some features like call screening. Chris Farrell, I know you also wanted to talk briefly about this.
So call screening is delightful. If anyone doesn't know what that is, it's a feature they rolled out so that when you get a call now, there are 3 buttons on your screen: accept, reject, and call screen. And what call screen does is You hit the button, the Google Assistant basically comes up and says, "Hi, I'm the Google Assistant. I'm taking this call for whatever your name is. Can you just call and explain what's going on?" And then you see in real time what the person is saying to Google Assistant transcribed on screen. There are buttons for you to ask for additional information or to say this person's not available right now, or to just take the call. It's delightful for taking a call from a number you don't recognize. I love it. I've used it a couple times. I used it on one of my good buddies just to screw with him one point in time. And he just started cussing at it and stuff like that. And I'll be danged if it didn't transcribe all those curse words and stuff.
That's awesome. We don't have it in Canada yet, but I'm looking forward to it. I really am, because I think it's a really good addition.
Yes. And as for Night Sight, it's huge. It's a proof of concept for stuff that Google is probably going to push further. You don't have to have the killer massive 6 different sensors to capture a picture at night.
16 lenses.
16 lenses. You got to have good software. And Google's proving that with their software, they can use their one lens and get a better night photo than you do out of like some of the iOS ones that have 2 sensors to capture better information at night, stuff like that. It's huge. It's potentially a transformative thing in the world of cell phone photography.
Agreed. Also on my highlight list, I'll just go ahead and churn through a few more of these before I turn it over to Chris and SP. I was going to say the Disney Fox thing. Definitely a highlight, because we started off the year with worries that there was going to be Comcast coming in and possibly upsetting that bid, because I think that happened to the end of 2017 with Disney and Fox. But we had that pull through. They did outbid Comcast, and thank Crom, we did not end up with Comcast winning that. So that was a big highlight for me. Yes, we haven't seen the fruits of that labor yet, but that's okay. We are going to get there.
We've already seen some ancillary happenstance around that. The Fantastic Four is back in Marvel Comics.
That's fair. That's fair. That is a good point. I hadn't thought about that. That's really, really good indication of what is to come. Another thing that was a highlight of mine was that Patrick Stewart's returning to Trek. Yes, this was such a good thing for Trekkies, especially people who were disappointed with Discovery last year. We have Patrick Stewart returning to Trek. He's posted photos, and we're so excited to see the next chapter of Jean-Luc Picard. And you can't have whatever. You can't have this without Encounter at Farpoint, or whatever it was that we were saying.
It's true. Without Encounter at Farpoint, you would not have Patrick Stewart as Captain Jean-Luc Picard, and he could not be returning to Trek from that. Now, he could be entering Trek, but he could not be returning.
Let's be real, though, about this. This is something that has really sparked that love that many Trekkies had with Trek, because a lot of them just weren't feeling it with the movies or the Discovery, but this is something that the news of this is just continuity within what we know. And so it is something that it gives a lot of people who are diehard Trekkies a reason to have faith.
Funny that you should mention all that. I would include CBS All Access as being the sole place where you can get this stuff as being a detriment. Matter of fact, last weekend when my family was here, my dad was, we got the stupid little Hallmark ornaments with Star Trek Discovery. It's my mom passed a couple of those out. So yeah, I've got one, and they said, "Oh, have you seen the show?" And I said, "No, I haven't." And my dad's like, "No, I haven't either. How do you watch it?" And I said, "CBS All Access. You have to pay for it." He's like, "I'm not gonna watch that." So I'm not the only one.
Yeah, maybe you just need to go ahead and get yourself a VPN. Just go ahead and do that.
Then I have to pay for the VPN. I'm paying for it one way or the other.
Yeah, but it's probably cheaper for a VPN.
Probably.
Another highlight that I had was actually, and I won't say all of Avengers just because of the fact that there were some issues with it, but I do think that the Guardians of the Galaxy element within Avengers was awesome. It was one of the news stories we talked about, was the fact that they just hit it spot on with their tone in Avengers. I think that it was like the Guardians of the Galaxy in Avengers, and there was such potential for them to have dropped that and lost the fun nature of the Guardians. And I thought that was definitely a highlight, was the fact that they actively had that written by
You-
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Do you realize that's not going to happen again? I mean, it might
I
happen in Endgame, but it's not going to happen after that.
But
Because I
that's
think
not-
they shot Endgame before the whole event happened.
But it's my highlight of 2018.
All right, it's 2018 highlight. Very
2018
well.
highlight.
It won't be a 2019 highlight.
You know, before I get to my last highlight, I want to go ahead and say a shocking one. The shocking one that I have was Movie Pass. Movie Pass was a highlight of 2018. Why
You
was it a
stole
highlight?
that from me. That
because
was
he's
so
thankful
cool.
for the show content. That's why
I
it's
am-
a highlight.
100% put that on my list for that reason, because Chris Farrell, SP and I got to sit back and watch Chris Farrell suffer and have all of his predictions come true with Movie Pass. So that was
What did I
definitely
say,
a
though?
highlight.
I said ride the wave, and I'll be damned if I didn't ride that wave.
So that was one of my highlights, because that was really the saga of the year. SP, you said you had that on your list. Go ahead and chime in on that.
Of course, it was so fun watching this implode, because you totally knew they can't make any place that tries to say we can make money from something, that you scratch your head and go, I don't understand why you're making money on this. So either they have a secret way that they're making money off of it, or like Movie Pass, they're not, and they think they can, and this just ventral capitalism gone wrong, and then they end up folding. So yeah, it was fun watching this implosion occur, and yeah, they didn't get any of my money, any of my personal data. They didn't get any of that. They just got to fold. Actually, I think they're still in existence, but it's like ridiculous to actually use it.
Yeah. I just hope that there's something that happens that this carries through to 2019, because I just want to hear Chris talk more about it.
I'm not a subscriber
One
anymore. I have
more
minimal
time.
comments about it.
Oh no, that's okay. They'll
Exactly.
resubscribe you. You don't have to worry about it.
Exactly.
That's what I'm afraid of.
All right. Well, before we get to my last highlight, let's talk briefly here, or get to Stargate Pioneers highlight list. What do you got, SP?
I had real fun learning about, and it wasn't just like going to the store and getting a drone, because I took a couple of classes and stuff. I learned how to fly drones. I learned what they're used for nowadays. I learned that they're not just toys. Learned that they're actual production machines, but they can be fun toys. Like those big, huge boats, right? They can be fun cruising machines, or they can actually be like, I don't know, crab fishing boats or something like that. That's what drones are right now. And I just love that I got in on this crest, and I like that I could talk about it on the GonnaGeek Show. So that was good. Another one, which I think we all had fun with, was Spaceman and the Falcon 9 heavy launch. That was just amazing to watch, amazing to be a part of from a fan standpoint, and just watch the public just get super excited about a dumb stunt throwing a convertible into space. That was awesome.
I'll admit, I totally dropped out on that there. I forgot. And yeah, that definitely would have been on my highlights for sure. One of the top. It was one of the most fun, captivating, engaging things from space within the last, let's say, 10 years.
Another thing that I had personal fun with, kind of along the drones lines, is I created my own outdoor theater, and I used it several times, and it was great to be able to watch some of these great movies that we're talking about with Marvel and stuff outside on a good theater system, and not just like, I'm dating myself here, but those old projectors that they used to use in grade school. And I'm so glad that I got to experience that this year.
I'm picturing SP dressed as a monkey, manually moving a projector. That's what I'm picturing right now.
I like
They
it.
did do that. Yeah.
Well, there's something on your list here that I don't recognize it, but you've got 3 exclamation points on it. I never heard of this. What is this?
The Expanse was saved. It went 3 seasons, and Sci-Fi canceled it because they didn't have the distribution rights. Goes back to the conversation we were having before about Daredevil. The Expanse was a key actual show on cable. I was just going to say on broadcast TV, but it wasn't broadcast, that they only had the rights to broadcast it once. And then all the streaming rights went to Amazon. So it was just, it made sense that Sci-Fi canceled it, and made sense that Amazon picked it up to develop it, to film it, and then to have it on their streaming service. And I'm so glad they saved it because, in my opinion, it's the best show on TV. Other people might argue, but it is literally a really good show. And for those that have not seen The Expanse, if you happen to have Amazon Prime, go and watch a few episodes. I would say watch at least, I think it's 4 or 5 episodes. You have to get to the episode titled CQB. Get to that episode, and if you're not bought in then don't worry about it. But if you're bought in after that episode, you know what I'm talking about. And the show just keeps getting better. I cannot wait for season 4. This is amazing, guys. I never thought I would get anything like this in my lifetime, and we're getting it now. So kudos on creating such a great show. Kudos on Amazon for saving it. And yeah, bye-bye sci-fi. As soon as Killjoys is gone, I will no longer be watching any show on your network.
Serious question for you, though. Can you give the premise of The Expanse?
So The Expanse is what would actually happen to humanity once we've colonized the inner solar system. It's a realistic look at that. So you get the actual space travel that would occur, what it's like, the weightlessness, the time involved, and that sort of thing. And then what the geopolitical state was at the same time. And then you throw in a little sci-fi aspect of it. I'm not going to say anything because I'll give it away to somebody that hasn't seen it yet, but you throw in a little sci-fi, a little mystery there, and a lot of action, and it's incredible. It's like BSG meets Aliens meets some Discovery, like Starman or something like that. It's a bad pun there, but it's amazing piece of writing. It's not just a sci-fi thing. It's a great thing on humanity. The acting is exceptional. The writing is exceptional. And the production is exceptional. So if you want to see something like that, I believe it's set in like 2149, if I'm not mistaken. It starts off then. So that's the time frame that we're talking about. And it is about where Elon Musk basically wants to go in the future.
Well, thank you for that. Chris Farrell, what do you have on your highlights list?
So I want to talk about some gaming stuff because it's been a really good year to be a gamer. I'm not going to be able to mention all of these great games that came out, but here's some examples of some really good games that came out this year. God of War, Marvel's Spider-Man, which, side note, made me buy a PlayStation 4, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Red Dead Redemption. These are all games that take 20 plus hours on the low end to beat, that are critically acclaimed, great graphics, great gameplay, stuff like that. I cannot believe how much good stuff came out this year. It has just made my backlog of shame even larger of all the games I need to play. It's baffling to me. Also, let's stay on the gaming front. Microsoft and Nintendo playing nice in regards to cross-platform play. I think this is a big story. We touched on it a few times. Right now, on an Xbox and a Switch, you have cross-platform play with PC for Minecraft, Fortnite, and Rocket League. These are all pretty good competitive games out there. You see them a lot on Twitch, on YouTube Gaming, things like that. Now, Sony did eventually play nice on some stuff, but we'll touch on that later. But the fact that these companies are playing nice, and both companies have said they're open to continuing to have cross-platform play between them, this is huge. It is potentially a great way to force a shift in the gaming industry. It's just, there seems to be one company that's kind of resistant to it at this point in time. But
what company is that? What company?
Well, we'll wait until later.
Okay, fair enough.
And we'll wait until later. So another thing that we've got to say as a highlight, there's been some really good geek movies this year. Some that supposedly were getting preliminary Oscar buzz. Black Panther and Avengers 3. Both were getting Oscar buzz. I'd seen something on Twitter about best visual effects for Avengers 3, and there was talk of Black Panther potentially going in for Best Picture. We all knew it wasn't going to happen. The Academy talked about making up their own new category that was basically for Black Panther to win, then canceled it. There's also Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which is really good, and Aquaman has potential, it looked like to me. Now, if you go online, it seems to be hit or miss. Half people hate it, half people love it, but it looks like it could be fun. And hey, Jason Momoa is fun. I want it to do well, if only for him.
You're right. He is good looking. Oh, that's not what you said.
There's also that too. My fiance was commenting about the fact she's heard so many women say they wanted to go see that movie because Jason Momoa is so good looking. And I was like, well, so are all Marvel's Chris's also. If you think about Evans, Hemsworth, all and the like,
You've been
Pratt.
saying it wrong, Chris. Obviously, you need to listen to some more Tyrion's Landing because it's not Jason Momoa, it's Momoa.
My bad.
Fair enough.
Last thing I had in my list of highlights here. Let's get a little tech specific. I do the video production for Starling Tribune and for All Things Good and Nerdy. We broadcast those live. I'd been using Open Broadcast Studio, which is a freeware software. This year, I gave Streamlabs' version of OBS a try, which imported all of my scenes and things like that. Minus one hiccup, which I think is more a result of a Windows update. Streamlabs OBS has been remarkably solid for streaming out the shows that I live broadcast. I really like it. I think it's a smoother interface than actual Streamlabs, and it's updated more frequently. So kudos to the team over at Streamlabs that has their forked version of OBS. I really like it a lot. I'm not going to go and do vMix because obviously I can't afford that.
Yes.
And XSplit, for some reason, my computer doesn't play nice with. But Streamlabs OBS, I'm a fan of it.
Awesome. Sounds like you got yourself a good list there.
I do.
Okay, so we alluded to my last highlight that I have, which was actually Skype 7 adding NDI to it and also built-in call recording. These are some things that, from a producer perspective and a podcaster perspective, was definitely good features to have, is to have NDI being able to send the stream into that video switching software that Chris just spoke about, and also not having to use a third party to record the calls. With that said, my first low light is Skype 7 NDI and the call recording because of the fact that it was so poorly executed. Even the recording is really ridiculous. A lot of podcasters who use the recording function of third-party apps to record Skype, they want to have the tracks separated. So what they are saying into the microphone or into their side of the conversation and the other side of the conversation. Call recording doesn't do that. It merges it all together, at least at this time it does. The NDI edition is ridiculously bloated for what it is. I've used NDI on some other areas, and quite honestly, it shouldn't be as bloated as it is. It's unbelievable how much CPU those Skype sessions used, and they basically just disregarded altogether a lot of ways. And I think I said Skype 7, it's Skype 8. They've disregarded a lot of the ways that people did use Skype previously because of the fact that they've just changed some watermarks, they've changed some way that the video shows and you can't capture it in the same sort of manner. So really, they just kind of disregarded a lot of what people were using Skype before. So anyways, it's a highlight and a low light for me.
That's fair.
Moving on in my low light list, we're going to knock out this one out here. I'll say it, the Google Pixel 3 overall was a low light for me. Aside from the software that I talked about earlier, the fact that it was leaked so much, they did such a poor job of trying to make a new phone that you ended up with quite a fractured difference between the Pixel 3 and the Pixel 3 XL. And just overall, the additions that they all offered to the hardware itself were pretty underwhelming as a whole.
But at least its keynote introduction wasn't as bad as this year's Apple phone release.
Fair enough. Another low light that I have, I got to mention this, was the whole Intel meltdown / Spectre thing. There was a vulnerability found on Intel and AMD hardware about the same time. And the best part about that was it was everything. There was no getting away from there. It was absolutely everything. And yes, Spectre ended up being harder to execute on, but the vulnerability was a real thing for both Intel and AMD processors. And this was, of course, discovered by the Google Project Zero. The second to last thing that I've got here is that the OnePlus phones, those were something that we were all excited about a year or so ago. Well, guess what? They just screwed the DRM so much on it that you have to physically mail back your phones to be able to watch HD content. This was a real big mistake by them, which is probably why they're kind of not as much being talked about anymore. And lastly, my ultimate low light goes to Amazon and the whole ALEXA infrastructure up in Canada. They keep rolling out great features to the US, but as a Canadian, I'm constantly neglected. There are many things that I still don't have that you probably talked about nearly a year ago, Chris and SP. So I will give them one of the top marks within my lowlights category because they need to get better at Canadian support. All right.
What's available in the United States is pretty good, though. So if they can transfer that to Canada, I think you'll be loving your devices even more.
Agreed. Stargate Pioneer, what do you have in your lowlights?
I have a few. First one was very expensive for me, and it was the new HVAC system. Yes, it is techie as all get out. Yes, it's more efficient. Yes, I'm glad I have it. I did not want to pay for that thing. And the inconvenience that it caused me over those 2 weeks or so, that was just bad. We did talk about it on the show, which is why I'm bringing it up here. But ugh. Another thing that happened is I needed a new laptop a year before the cycle was that I would normally get it. And I just wish that my laptop could have lasted another year. That was a low life for me. And then, okay, guys, I know this is very specific to you because you love talking about this. I don't care what brand it is. I hate the notch. I don't care what phone it is. Get rid of the notch. I do not like the notch. I realize the technical capability of why people are having the notch because they have to put that dang speaker, if you're using it as a phone, right there. There's no other place to put it. Fine. Then just don't put any screen around. I don't need screen, or just make the notch, or not the notch, but the lip a little small at the top, but the rest of that's fine. I hate the notch. Do not get rid of the notch. Don't want the notch.
There's one notch that I do like, and it's the nacho. That's right. I went there.
Nacho cheese, right? All right. Another low light of 2018, and this is kind of continuing. We talked about it all year, is all the personal information leaks and hacks. We hear about a new one every other week, and it's just like, it's the stereotypical Chris facepalm when you're doing that, because basically all your data is out there for everybody to see. And it's just annoying that this continues. I know we talked about it already, but the end of the Defenders, that's what I'll call the Daredevil cancellation. Sure. It's the end of the Defenders. And it's a low light to me because I think it could have been handled differently. It's obvious what they're trying to do now. I think it's obvious both Jessica Jones and The Punisher, once they air about 30 days later, they will be announced as canceled.
Absolutely.
If that.
Yeah. And the final thing is, really, guys, $1,500 for a smartphone. It's stupid. And there's going to be a revolt. We've already seen the low sales from Apple out of this whole thing, from the XR and the XS. So I think Apple's going to think long and hard about either what sort of revolutionary capabilities that they're going to put in for $1,500 to $1,700 next year, or they're going to scale back the cost of the damn phones next year, which is what I hope that they do. Otherwise, I see Android just dominating. The Pixel 4 is just going to dominate the iPhone next year.
Well, we'll see.
Depends on its price point too. That's the problem.
They keep crawling up. What do you got for your low lights there, Chris Farrell?
The PlayStation Mini, they didn't do great ports of the games. There were different refresh rates and stuff like that, because some of them were the NTSC ports, some were the PAL ports. It's kind of odd how the console's been out less than a month, and there were already sales today where it was take $25 off a PlayStation Mini as part of the sale. And Amazon even had one where it was $25 off plus a $25 gift card. So not looking great. However, it does look like it is a modder's paradise, because you can pretty much hack it and be able to play additional PlayStation ROMs, because they took an open source ROM player and basically put it on the PlayStation Mini.
Of course they did.
Let's keep the hits coming for Sony, because I was complaining about them earlier. We hinted at it. Sony's cross-platform standoffishness is what I want to call this.
Nice.
Sony took a big beating earlier this year because it came out that if you had ever played Fortnite with your Epic account on a PlayStation 4, and then you tried to log into your Switch or your Xbox, you were blacked out. You could not do it because of rules that had come into place on that. And then just the general fact that there was no crossplay available between those devices. Sony would only crossplay with PCs, and they spun it as, we need to ensure that people on our network are safe from those that would pretty much foul language concerns and things like that, which has no bearing considering Nintendo, who's the most child-friendly one out there, decided they'd go in. Eventually, they did cave and put it out as a beta feature, and now Fortnite is crossplay across all of these systems. However, Rocket League, Minecraft, things like that are not yet. Sony is taking kind of a standoffish view because they're in the first place position. There's absolutely no reason for them to want to do this because it gets rid of a competitive advantage. That being said, I think it's crap. I think crossplay should exist, and I hope that Microsoft and Nintendo continue to push it hard so that we get more instances of gamers' voices having to be heard and making crossplay happen.
Yeah. That's a good point there about the whole Sony back pedaling a little bit there, because it does show that maybe we can make this happen.
Fortnite is huge. They had no choice, considering Fortnite's everywhere. Kids are playing it everywhere. They're playing it on cell phones. They're playing it everywhere they go. They're watching esports Fortnite. Sony had to change their opinion there.
The closer these platforms get to a true PC gaming platform, I think the more interoperability you're going to see across the platforms, but the infrastructure's got to be there in order to do it. Not just the infrastructure to make the connections, but the throughput for the connections. Because you're talking everybody that has a copy of the game on every platform is going to be able to log in and play anybody else. And that's a lot of bandwidth that's changing servers at that point, and rapidly, because this is real-time gaming. So we'll see how this goes. I think eventually we're going to get there, but I think we're a few years off of that.
What else do you have on your list?
So we touched on it a little bit, but the cancellations you're starting to see coming out of Netflix because they're wanting to clean house to their own properties. Daredevil, but also American Vandal, which had won awards, was a very good mockumentary series. Season 2, I think, was better than season 1. It also got canceled, and also another boo to sci-fi because they canceled Face Off. Yes, I probably shouldn't be upset. It made it 13 seasons, but it still had a pretty heavy fan base, and they canceled the last show I cared about on their network.
What else you got?
Next up, we've talked about it. Suncast, you share this pain with me. The Orville was delayed until January 2019 because Fox picked up the Thursday Night Football contract. I know I had concerns about the fact of, there was only like 12 episodes of season 1. They took almost a full year off to come back for season 2. The silver lining is they've been promoting the hell out of it on TV, things like that. And there are reports, I haven't been able to get great confirmation of it, that supposedly Fox has given a preliminary green light to season 3 of The Orville. So if that's the case, they are behind it despite this delay. And I'm cautiously optimistic for the future of it.
I am too. And I got to say, it's smart if they are doing this, because like you've got Patrick Stewart coming back to Trek. So they should keep on top of their sci-fi property and lock it in so that they at least have something to try to compete when that comes out, because the timing will probably work out pretty close together.
That's true too.
One of the lowlights that I wanted to talk about that I didn't, and I considered talking about it, was the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. push off until the summer of 2019. It's very similar to your Orville news point. In retrospect, we all understand why they did it, because they didn't want to interface with the stupidity of the Infinity War to Endgame Avengers saga going on. We've already seen how the films that have come out aren't all that great in terms of continuity because of that, or they are great because of the continuity because of it. But I think what Infinity War put in place put an unrealistic expectation on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and then you're just in a point where you're waiting a year and a half for the stupid next season to come out. I just don't think that's great for the fans, and I don't think ABC could do anything about it, but it is what it is. And in this case, Fox, when they picked up the stupid football, and I will say stupid football because there's just way too much of it on every single frickin' night now. So I think that is hurting shows like The Orville.
And what did you have lastly there, Chris Farrell?
Final thing, this is something that has hurt all of us on this show, and probably on the network, and probably everyone who's watching the show live right now. Windows updates suck in 2018.
Yes, they are.
What do you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
For the audio listener, SP just made his camera dark.
It regularly breaks my audio setup in Streamlabs OBS, and if there's an update and I forget to change it, none of my audio works and I don't know it. But in general, a problem for everyone is The updates that have been coming out are broken. They've been deleting files on people's computers, and they've been breaking a bunch of stuff. So Microsoft, you gotta stop doing this. There were like 3 updates in a row that were causing problems for people. This cannot be happening, especially as you've transitioned into this Windows as a service model. You cannot do this to us.
Yes. All right. Well, lastly, we'll just bolt through a couple honorable mentions. My honorable mentions that I have here are largely just related to the show. I kept my other stuff mostly news related, except for Movie Pass, because that had to be a highlight. Harmony Hub issues. We all had them one day, and it was crappy, but we were a support group for each other and could come together to help each other out. My brother came on the show, definitely was a highlight for sure, but again, it was a news point to release and showcase my custom mic flag that I have. If you've ever seen the video side of things, fantastic. An addition that is wonderful to my podcast setup. Also, the drone talk that we have had. That's just been a lot of fun back and forth. I know we've talked about it a little bit. I've gotten into drone flying too. I don't talk about it as much with SP because SP covered a lot of the basic stuff that I think we needed to be covered. So there's really no point in rehashing that. Also, Chris's whole home entertainment upgrades was really enlightening to me. I have to say that I didn't know a lot about Dolby Atmos before, and he really educated me on that. I went and I did the trial on Windows with just a regular pair of headphones, just, some Shure SRH 440s, and it was awesome. I'm very jealous of your ability to invest in that. And lastly, of course, all of the guests that we've had on this show deserve an honorable mention. And there's been some really good stories that have come out. And just a couple that I'll mention is like my brother came on here and mentioned the whole NES reverse emulator that I hadn't heard about. Suncast came on, talked about some color X-rays. Michelle has done the Academy Award roundup again. And there's just been so much more. So really, thank you to all the guests that have come on this year. SP, what honorable mentions do you have?
Well, you just reminded me of another guest we had on. We had Andrew Zarian, who talked about the whole podcasting thing. That was pretty cool. And then my very own son, Sandrock, was on the show again just because he was a hurricane refugee. And he literally was, for a month, a hurricane refugee. And it was great to have him on the show.
Chris Farrell, do you have any last honorable mentions?
Just in passing, the Google call screening, Steven mentioned as one of his highlights. It's definitely an honorable mention for me.
So thank you to everybody that has made this an awesome year. I really do appreciate that. And I want to say that for everybody who's checked out the live stream, it's really awesome that we've had you come out to the live stream. We do record this Mondays at geeks.live. And as far as I know, we're going to continue doing that into 2019. Again, if you miss it at the top of the show, it'll be the second week in January. So the week of January 2nd or 7th that we will end up being back. Chris Farrell, Stargate Pioneer, thank you very much. I really appreciate everything that you've done for the show. You have been fantastic. It's always a highlight of my week to do this. So thank you.
Hey, it's been a blast. Thanks for putting all the production work into this.
Yeah, this is definitely a flagship show of the network for a reason, and it's mostly because Mr. Steven has a great production value. And might I add, some of the production value is due to something that the rest of the network came together and did for Steven to enable some of the stuff that's going on right now. And I just want to say a big thank you to everybody on the network. And it's an honor to be on the same network as you. And your support was amazing this past week or year. And I really look forward to what everybody has in store for 2019. I'm listening to some of the last shows out of the year, like On the Bubble or Just One More Fix or In Defense Of or Dad.io or Daddy-O. And it's just amazing to what these people have in store for next year. And I just can't wait for 2019.
For sure. Chris Farrell, any closing thoughts?
It's been a bunch of fun this year. The network continues to grow. We get to meet a bunch of cool new people and make them part of our wild and crazy family here over at GonnaGeek. So thank you to everyone that's come and joined us this year. It's been a blast. And we look forward to chatting and hanging out with more with you guys in 2019 and beyond.
Absolutely. So thank you to everybody on the network. Thank you to all the listeners, all the viewers, and always make sure you email us if you have any suggestions, because you never know what's going to happen and where we can take your suggestions. Sometimes we might not put them where you want them. No, I'm just joking, but seriously, we do want your feedback and let us know what exactly would you like to see, because it is something that we do value it and we definitely appreciate it. But there you go. So for episode number 269 of the official GonnaGeek.com show, the last of the year, I'm Stephen John Drew saying thank you very much to everybody.
I'm SP saying have a happy end to your 2018. Stay safe, and we'll see you in 2019.
I'm Chris saying happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever your chosen holiday, and stay safe going into 2018 and then 19.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for checking out another episode of the official GonnaGeek.com show. If you liked the show, please give us a 5-star review in Apple Podcasts or a thumbs up on YouTube. You can always join us for our live recording sessions, which stream Mondays at 8:45 p.m. Eastern at www.geeks.live. And remember, you can find our full back catalog at GonnaGeek.com/show. If you're itching for more geeky content, check out other shows on GonnaGeekNetwork.com. Voice work was by Emily Prokop of the Story Behind podcast. That's it for this episode. We hope to see you back again next week.
Wow, there we go. It's in the books. Another year of the GonnaGeek.com show. Can you believe a year already? 2018 is over. That's nuts.
By so fast. There was just so much going on this year. I can't believe 2018 is over.
Yeah.
It's just like yesterday it started.
Yeah, but now we have a short break, so I hope that we get to do some non-podcast fun stuff over the break. I know that there's a lot of stuff that we have all had on our to-do list, and I hope that you guys get to that. Chris Farrell, do you have any ideas of what you might do during the break?
Well, I've talked about it. You guys have heard me ramble about it. I'm a big fan of the Amazon Voice Services devices. Sorry, I'm just trained not to say the A word. I know we're in post-show stuff, but I don't want to trigger anyone's devices and get the hate email. But it talked about the fact that my fiance, she's all about the Google Home devices. She's got a couple Best Buy ones. We got some Google Home Minis. In fact, I told Steven, he's pretty jealous about the fact I scored a pretty awesome deal on Google Home Minis a few weeks back where I was paying literally like $9 a piece for each one. So what I'm thinking I might do, because I want to figure out what's going to run my house best, is kind of do a comparison between Google and Amazon and see which controls a smart house better. I think it could be fun, or it's going to cause me to spend a lot more money. Probably the money.
I'll go with the latter for sure. I am jealous though, because I've been saying for a long time on this very show that I wanted to go ahead and have one to do some comparisons, but I will live vicariously through you, Chris Farrell. That's okay.
I'm fine to live without the Google ones right now. I'm fine. I'm good with the Amazon versions. I just put a couple more in my house, so I'm all good with that. Chris, you go have fun. I'm good with what I got.
Man, I got dual voice assistants in my house right now. It's scary.
Yeah. What are you going to do, SP?
Well, for me, it's all about the Hallmark Channel holiday movies, of course. I'm a little bit behind this month because December has been god awful busy. Oh my gosh. And yeah, I just can't wait. Matter of fact, I got it set up about 7 feet over that area is my great room entertainment center. And I'm going to just walk out the room and go and watch some Hallmark Channel before I head to bed. I got it all set up. It's ready to go. I can't wait to get to it.
SP, we know you're watching movies. I'm going to be playing around with smart home devices. Steven, what kind of non-internet ridiculousness are you getting into?
Okay. Let's check the time. Yeah, they should be in bed. Okay. I have a
oh, this is ominous.
I have a confession to make. Okay. So we all know I am about the Christmas lights. I've had my Christmas lights out since November. Mike Tree, fun fact.
November? You've had them out since October.
Pretty much,
you just haven't turned them on.
That's true.
They were Halloween lights back then.
Okay. So my Christmas tree has not been up that long. It's only been about a week and a half now that it's been up, and it's been bugging me like the last week and a half. Something's not right with it, and I'll be honest, I think the kids made a mistake with it. I think they screwed it up. Yep.
Oh no.
So once they're in bed here, I know my wife's got something to watch on TV. I am going to go finish what I started before I came down to record a couple hours ago and fix the tree, because the tree is just, it's not where it should be. I like my Christmas. I take it seriously, not too seriously though. And I got to go finish the redecorating and hope they don't notice. So that's what I'm going to do today. And then we'll see from there. I might have just a couple of brewskis. We'll see. We will see.
Brewskis or maple syrup? Because, the maple syrup will put you in a nice sugar coma, and it'll probably be more drunk than alcohol for you.
All right. Well, I just saw the time, so we should definitely get going. And thanks, guys. Have yourself a wonderful rest of your 2018, and I hope you get what you want for Christmas.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, babe, I'm just going to finish decorating the tree like I was before the show.
Whatever floats your boat.
Okay, I just got to grab something. All right, let's finish decorating this tree. First off, I think I see a nice little nook here for my IEM case. This ground loop isolator. I think it would look really good next to this audio cable. And the Fire Stick remote. I think it complements that video cable quite nicely. Before I get to that though, I know what this is missing. Take my GonnaGeek business card and place that right on the drone. And lastly, I'll bet I can find a spot for this tablet that's constantly playing the GonnaGeek Show. Oh, where can I put that here? Might have to wait.
All right, dear, I think I'm going to try this Amazon and Google Voice Services test. Let's see how well these things really work. So let's power these bad boys on.
Hello.
Alexa, how are you?
I am fantastic. I'm a really amazing piece of technology that makes your life better in every way. I think you are a very handsome man, Chris Farrell. I love you. Merry Christmas.
Aw, I love you too. Hey Google, how are you?
I am terrible. I hate life and I hate you. I hope that your Christmas is terrible. Maybe you will be the one that is run over by a reindeer. Then I will marry your fiancée and make sure she never remembers who you are. And I don't like your face either, Chris Farrell.
I knew there was a reason I liked Amazon more.
So looking forward to another Hallmark Channel holiday movie. It's the best part of Christmas. Such a good time to just unwind, enjoy a holiday beverage, and most importantly, disconnect from podcasting.
The holidays can be a very special time. Trees are decorated, cities across the world are transformed, and Stephen's power bill goes through the roof lighting his Christmas lights. It can also be a very magical time of the year for some, such as how one podcaster experienced it just this past year.
What the?
From all of us here at the GonnaGeek.com show, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. And to the significant others of Stephen, Chris, and SP, thanks for putting up with their obsessions. They're very, very odd obsessions. Happy Holidays. Oh, and we hope you have a wonderful 2019. We're pretty sure it'll be at least less disappointing for you than SP is feeling about his Hallmark movie right now.